So a couple weeks ago I posted a video where I made this knife. Canister Damascus, some bed springs, and powdered steel that had nickel in it is actually what makes the lighter color in the steel. The bed springs are the darker spots. But anyway, I'll go ahead and link a card for that video. And that'll probably start off with making the canister and then go through, I think it was 3 videos total. But anyway, at the end of it all, I said I still needed to make a sheath for it. Now it's been, like I said, several weeks, and I'd like to say that the delay was because I had something special planned, but up until today, my plans have pretty much been I need to make a sheath for this. So I sat down and decided I need to get this done, and I need to actually come up with a plan, and I'm thinking about something a little different. We'll see how it works out. Now, when making a knife sheath, one of the things I take into consideration is the balance point of the knife, and this one, it's right on where the first knuckle would be. So why that's important for a knife sheath is if you're going to make a knife sheath that hangs vertical, your balance point, you have to have your belt loop above the balance point. If you're going to make it hang horizontal, it's best for your belt loop to be above the balance point with the knife horizontal. If you have, say, here, it's going to want to tip all the time. So your balance point is always important because you always need your belt loop to be above the balance point, wherever it happens to be, whatever angle it happens to be at. If you want it to be at this angle, your belt loop needs to be up here. So that informs you what the angles are that you need to make. So this is going to be an angled sheath, just kind of a center of the back sort of carry, or small of the back carry, I think it's referred to as. We're going to take a tracing of the knife, which is how I usually start all my knife sheath patterns. And we'll do this again with another tracing to actually make the pocket for the sheath by rolling it over and coming up with that. But for now, this will do, because this is just planning of where we want it to be. So our balance point is right here. So we want our belt loop to be above that. We're going to draw a line straight through that, up and down. And I want this to be at an angle like that. And we're going to draw a line basically perpendicular to it. I'm not going to get the square out and be real precise, but that's going to be our fold line for the belt loop. Alright, so after some deliberation, this is basically what I've come up with. It's going to look a bit like a moccasin whenever it's done. But yeah, we've got a flap that looks somewhat mask shaped. That's going to be our belt loop. It folds in half. And then we've got the main pocket of the knife sheath. And you can see I've traced the knife, rolled it over on spine and traced it again. And then added about 3/8, 5/16 around the outside edge. I'm going to put a spacer piece in there. It's just going to be one half of this. It's going to fold and stitch together. Actually, it'll stitch together whenever this stitches onto it. And it's going to sit on there and match the curves up here. Now, the one problem with this pattern that I know I'm going to run into is down here. When you transition from this lump of 5 pieces of leather down to 3 pieces of leather thick, the machine's going to skip a stitch. Almost always does. And stitching through 5 pieces of leather is hard to do hand stitching. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skive this piece out and feather it down to nothing, so I've got a nice smooth transition there so that this will stitch. That's the only thing that really looks like it's going to be a technical problem on all this. Otherwise, I think we are ready for leather. There's going to be 3 pieces, like I said, a spacer, a pocket, and a belt loop. And since we've got our patterns, we're going to start cutting. Ah, time to clean these pieces up a little bit. I did take this one and use it to mark basically where it's going to fold over on it and fit it. So I laid it on there and marked a line, and laid it on there and marked a line. So I can line them up again later. I know where it's at. But until then, it's time to clean these pieces up and decide what we're going to do with all of them. This one, not much of it's going to be exposed. I think I'm going to leave that as plain leather, whatever color it winds up being. And this one, I'm going to probably scratch in a border because all of it's going to be exposed. So we're going to put a stitch line, or a line into the border line, a stitch line where it's going to be stitched. But first I need to scab these ends off, like I was talking about, so that we don't have a lump when we go to sew it together. We also need to bevel all of our edges. It's going to lay on here. So a large part of this is going to be stitch line. So we're going to probably be from going to be up to there. We're going to put our stitch groove on there before we forget where it's going to be. Then we'll grab our edge beveler and start taking off some of these edges. Now this piece is going to be a little finicky too. So it's going to be sewn in most of the way up. It's going to be covered with this. So we don't really want to round that out. So we'll go ahead and mark it just like we did the other piece. Because we do want to round it out everywhere. It's not going to be covered with that. Which is basically up here. Now then, we're going to put a border line on this one. I'm going to stamp something in there. Maybe just a simple basket weave pattern or something like that, but I don't want to leave it alone and leave it plain. Okay, and this is our finished knife sheath for this one. It's going to hang on a belt about like that angle, somewhere along in there. It's been hand stitched along these lines and then machine stitched along here. It's got a nice smooth transition there where that's been skived down. All the edges finished up. It holds the knife in well, it releases it easy, resheathes easy, but it holds in because of the leather being pushed in on either sides of the blade here in this part of the handle. And of course, a close-up of the blade, even though it was in another video, just in case you haven't seen that one yet. And all those videos are available on our channel. You can go to our channel page and find those if you want to watch some of them, or I think I had some links somewhere in the video as well. And I like to thank you for watching, and if you would, like the video, share it with somebody, or subscribe to the channel, and that will help us out. Thank you.